Hello, back to Jacob's Books Corner, where I am Jacob, and today we're going to be reviewing The Sweetest Kind of Poison by Kate Weisenmer. Now, you guys know my love for The Sweetest Kind of Poison. This is one of my favorite poetry collections of all time. Um, and I've read quite a few poetry collections, by the way. It wasn't like this is the only poetry collection I've ever read. But there's something interesting about it. I love a book, and I read this 8 times now. I read it for a review, for this review, and a few times before. And I read it like every 4 or 5 months, I would say, of the year. Sometimes less than that, depending on the mood that I'm in. But it's just because I always bring something new outside of the book. The book is about a relationship, and getting over a relationship and having to go through the tough parts of it. So the story is never tell you what to do when the knight who rescues turns out to be more dangerous than the dragon he saved you from. Is kind of basically what it's about. But that's just surface level, and I want to make sure that's very clear. That right there, if you just take it into surface level, that's a 5 star. The poems here are just so amazing, and I've marked them accordingly, as you guys can see. And I don't want to read them to you because I feel like that's going to give stuff away. But no, not three. There's 5 different sections. We have the fall, the collapse, the withdrawal, the recovery, and the now. And each one I think is very important. When I first read it, I was like, oh, this is a relatively long collection. It's 148 pages. Is the length need to be there and things? And I was very happy it was there. The longer, the better, in my opinion. Just kidding. R.H. Sin has like 500-page ones, and like those ones are a little too long for me. But each section is very important for you as a reader, especially if you've gone through something similar to this. Like I said, there's a lot of poems in here that, maybe you don't like self-help poems. The now probably is not for you. The recovery part, maybe you like the hardship, the rough. The beginning has some really, really rough ones. Your kind words mean nothing if you have to be drunk to say them. That really hit home, like hard home. I deserve better, but I prefer you. Also really hit home. It's kind of hard to review a poetry collection, but I wanted to make a video on here because I'm going to be reviewing her next novel, The Anti-Virginity Pack, because this is one of my favorite books of all time, and I'm loving that, by the way. I'll have a whole review about on Tuesday. That's when that comes out, and so I'm having it out on Tuesday. I'm a better person without you. And it's modern poetry, so it's very, very small. And she has another poetry collection coming out. I'm so excited. This is so exciting, guys. And yeah, I don't know. I love this story so much. Let me try to explain why, and maybe that's a good way to review it. So, like I said before, every time I've read The Sweetest Kind of Poison, I get something new out of it. I've never read it once where I was like, oh, it was a bogus time. It's beautifully written, and it is beautifully well structured. I think personally, from someone who just got done writing a poetry collection, the structure is the hardest part. I think coming up with the poems can take a very long time. I have a whole video discussing my experience with the poetry, and things like that will be coming out very soon. But also, I just find it very, very hard, in the sense, just because of the fact that the poetry collection and poetry is just so hard to do. It takes years to accomplish, and then also dividing up into sections and different things is also a lot. This is also her first round out of the gate with any type of medium. I'd only known her as a YouTuber. She is a YouTuber, by the way, but now she has this great collection that you guys can go read. Her book is amazing. You guys should go read it. Like I said, I'll have a whole non-spoiler and spoiler review going up on release day, which is a week from where I'm recording this, but probably closer to when you are seeing this. And yeah, what else can I say about The Sweetest Kind of Poison? It's a 5 out of 5 star. It always is, never not. And I always do put it on my Instagram story, and I always do tell her that it's changed my life, because I've had experiences where I cry while I read this, where I'm sitting there and I'm bawling my eyes out and it just hurts so bad. And then I have other experiences where I can relate to what this person in this story is going through, if it's directed at me or not, and I still relate to it, but it doesn't hit me the same. This is the best breakup book ever. What I mean by that is, like, it's the best breakup book to read when you're going through a breakup, especially the traumatic, abusive breakups. I've had my fair share of abusive boyfriends, and this book has surely been my ice cream and my wine for a long time. And I think every time I read it, I get something new because my experiences and my life is different and changes. But I think it's beautiful, and I think personally you really, really should pick it up. Even if you're not a fan of poetry, you should give it a go. I've gotten a lot of my friends and family to pick it up because of the poems inside this novel. I tend to put them on my Snapchat when I reread it because I have a lot of friends who find poetry that way, who will, like, look at their friends' poetry or look at their Snapchats and stories and find poetry that way. I sometimes share them on my Instagram stories when I reread it. Like I said, I reread this quite a few times in my life, and I just love it. I think it's amazing, and I think you can't go wrong with something better. I read so many poetry collections over the years since I was, like, I want to say sophomore in high school, and this is by far the best one I've read. And I don't mean that in, like, she's my favorite YouTuber kind of way. She is one of my favorite YouTubers, and I'm sure there's a bias standpoint somewhere in there, one could say, but I do mean that, it's just so well crafted. It's so well beautiful. It's self-pub, which is amazing. It's an indie author. She's an indie author. She has her own indie branch. It's amazing. I love that so much, and I can't wait to send more and more support towards it. But guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give me a big thumbs up. Don't comment down below. I do want to mention in the comments, or not in the comments, in the description down below, there's different things you guys can do to help the Black Lives Matter movement. It's so important that you guys continue to push towards helping the Black Lives Matter movement. And so there's links and stuff to a whole bunch of different things down below. You guys should go all check out. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.